Yeah, hello, here is Juma, the founder of Karma Games, and today I would like to give you a short tutorial of Peninsula, one of our next releases. This is a strategic flip and write game for 1 to 4 players at least. This is the core variant, then there is a variant where you can play with more people. And in this game everyone has like a player sheet and an architect token. It's like this round transparent thing, and yeah, there are in this game there are always like 2 cards available, and the starting player choose one of those cards and then one of those icons. Oops. So let's say I choose this icon, then everyone else would get this icon. You always draw the icon and place it in an adjacent hex of your architect. So I would draw a token like here and would put it, for instance, like here next to my architect. I cannot place it here. Then whenever someone doesn't want to use the icon of the starting player, let's say the other player doesn't want to use the tree but instead wants to use the tunnel, they could basically erase one of their lifesavers. These are lifesavers, and you can erase it with a token, or you can also just like erase it like this to mark that you have used it. And then you would draw this icon instead. So I can give you a quick run through all the icons. So basically the village, when you have the village, you draw a bidirectional arrow, and the arrow gives you a free move in either direction. In this online implementation, the arrow is already on the tile itself. So here you see, this means like the arrow goes to this hex. So basically these 2 hexes have an arrow in between and you can move freely along those arrows. The boat has a one-directional arrow. So and the arrow must be pointed to another hex. So if it's like this and you would at some point move on the boat, you could then also use this free move from the boat to this hex. The tunnels work like this. So let's say you had 2 tunnels like this, and yeah, let's say I need to change the degrees a little bit. So let's say it would be like this. Let's say at some point I would move on this boat, then I could use the arrow of the boat to move here, and then the arrow of the village to move to the tunnel. And tunnels are basically connected, so you can have you have free moves between tunnels. So this means you could then have the free move to this other tunnel, which lets you travel quite far across the map. The forests work a little different. When you have 3 or 5 forests filled, you get an extra balloon ticket, and you would just encircle it like this. And when you want to use it, you just do like this. If you have 5 forests filled, you do like this. You can use it like this again. What exactly the balloons do, I will explain later. So then you have the cliffs. Let's say I okay, I think this is a good spot. Let's say my architect is here, and I can now, when I draw cliffs, and they look like this. First of all, you see that the icon shows you cannot place cliffs into port hexes. Some hexes have a port arrow next to it, so in such a hex you couldn't draw any cliffs. But if I'm here, I could draw cliffs here, there, or there. And when you choose a hex, a cliff segment goes on every edge that touches water. So in this case, Okay, I think that's okay. Yeah. So if I choose this hex, I would just draw one cliff alone. If I choose this hex instead, it has 4 edges that touch water that are not adjacent to land hexes, so I would draw 4 cliff segments along each of those edges. And that's more cliff segments will score you more points, so that's better. And cliffs have the special ability they can share the hex with another icon. So for instance, you could have this and cliff as well. Usually that's not possible. The mountains don't have any special ability. Then regarding the filling, the villages are filled if there are 4 or more unique icons on adjacent hexes. And that could also be cliffs. And also another village can help fill this village. Boats are filled when any arrow is directed at it. So if you place a boat into a harbor hex, it is immediately filled because there is this harbor with the arrow. And by the way, when you want to fill something, you just have to flip the token in the online implementation. In the physical game, you would physically fill it with your pen. And that's relevant because every filled shape is worth 2 points at the end of the game. The tunnels are filled only at the end of the game when they're not adjacent to other tunnels. Again, you just flip it. And forests are filled when they are adjacent to other forests. So you want like a mega forest. So let's say it's like this. They're not filled right now, but if you place one in the middle, now all of them are adjacent to at least one other forest, and then you flip them all. Not this one, but this one. Then all the forests are filled and score 2 points at the end of the game. The cliffs cannot be filled, but every 2 cliff segments scores you 1 point. So you just count all the cliff segments you have on your whole island together and divide them by 2. And that's how many points you get for your cliffs. The mountains gain 1 point for every adjacent fill shape. So since cliffs and mountains cannot be filled, all the other icons, when adjacent to a mountain and filled, make the mountain score points. Yeah, so these are the core rules. Then we have some extra stuff. You start the game with boot tickets and harbor tickets. The boot ticket just allows you to move 1 step to another land hex adjacent. And in order to do that, you just erase it. If you want to use the harbor hex, then you need to be in a harbor hex. So let's say I erase this one and this one, and now I could first go 1 hex adjacent to here, let's say from here to here with the boot, and now I use the harbor hex to teleport, let's say here to this other harbor hex. I mean, it's not really a teleport, you just go with the ferry or whatever. The hot air balloon instead lets you move 2 hexes further, even potentially across water. So if you're here and you erase a balloon, you could even go here or there. The only restriction is you cannot like land on an adjacent hex, yeah, because launching a balloon and then coming down takes some distance. So at the end of the game ends when we run out of the deck of cards. There are 25 cards at the beginning, and then the last player will choose out of 2 cards, and that's the last turn. Everyone will be starting player the same amount of time. The starting player rotates after every round. And then we will basically score the winner. And yeah, there are a few more things for which you can gain points. If you are in such a hex with a red line, you basically unlock this landmark. You mark this again with a circle, and this landmark is now related to this special bonus that was randomly assigned at the beginning of the game. There are, like, I think more than 20 such landmarks. Each one is different. You can look up the exact rules for each landmark in the rules. And when you want to use this landmark, you can do this anytime. You don't have to do it immediately. You just like cross it off. In addition, these landmarks gain you 2 points at the end of the game. Each landmark that you activated. I mean, you don't have to use it. You just have to reach it and basically encircled it. And again, it doesn't matter if you have an icon there or not. You just have to move to be at least once adjacent to such a landmark. At the end of the game, you gain points for like filled shapes. Okay. Here, for the cliffs, for the mountains, for each lifesaver you haven't used, you score 1 point. For each landmark you reached, you gain 2 points. For each hex that doesn't have any of those 6 hexes, 6 icons, you also get a point. And finally, you also get points for missions. Here are 6 random missions, and they're sorted by alphabetically because they become increasingly more difficult and also award more points. And these are specific shapes. When you, let's say, okay, here we have one that is a triangle. If you have 3 icons of the same type in a triangle, like here, you can rotate or mirror all the shapes. Then you can claim this mission, and you would do that by putting first of all the letter here, E, then the points, 4 points, and the icon that you used. In this case, it's a tree. This is not going to be very pretty, but good enough. Why is that? Because each of the missions can only be claimed once, and each of the icons can only be used once to claim a mission. So that's why you have this unequal sign in here. So the trees are now used for this mission, and you cannot use it for any other mission. When you have fulfilled 2 missions that are adjacent, then you would gain the ticket that is in between. So in this case, this would be mission A. Yeah, you cannot like change the order of the missions. They're alphabetically sorted. So the harder missions, when you fulfill the 2 hardest missions, you will actually gain a hot air balloon ticket, which you can again use by like ticking it off. Yeah, for the missions, maybe another thing to mention is some of those have an X condition, like this red X, and that basically means the icon that you use in order to claim the mission may not be where the X is when you claim the mission. At a later point in the game, you may still add the same icon there, and that's fine. But when claiming the mission, you may not have them there. And also, this might be empty spaces. So let's say you could have, it's totally legit to have water or nothing or other icons there. That's fine. So this would be like a legit configuration for this mission. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Yeah, there is maybe one more rule that I forgot to mention. There is the trade action. So sometimes it can happen that you cannot use any icon very well. So then you could basically forfeit drawing an icon in order to gain a virtual boot or harbor ticket to be used immediately. And this way you can basically move and not draw any icon. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching.